It's February 21st, 2021, and welcome to episode 52 of the Baby Metal podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of Baby Metal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I'm Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
And Maggie.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Maggie.
Yes.
Yay!
All right. Our plan is to talk a bit about the news that we have, and then as the topic of the episode, we will introduce Maggie, learn about her background with the band, and so forth. But so there's a couple large news items. I'll start with the littler ones. So one is that we know the Wow Wow broadcast schedule for a bunch of old shows. They're, I guess, as part of the end of the 10-year celebration, they're playing actually quite a number of their shots of various things. So through February and March. Very cool.
Yeah, pretty exciting, actually. I was just like, they're all the really big ones, too.
Yeah.
Gosh. I'm looking through the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so they have Legend New Year Fox Festival from 2015 Makuhari Messe, Legend Metal Galaxy Day 1 and 2, Trilogy, the third one in Yokohama, and Wembley are the ones that I have on the list in front of me.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
the New Year's Fox Festival, the 2015 New Year's Fox Festival, that I think I've actually, I don't have that, and I thought I did, but I think it's actually something not quite exactly the same as Trilogy 1. I, for a long time, thought it was Trilogy 1, so I thought I had it. But I think it's a slightly different cut. Maybe it's actually a different show.
I was going to say, New York Fox Festival was the one at, I think it was Saitama.
As I understand this, they released it first as the New Year's Fox Festival, and then they re-edited it, and then made it part of the trilogy, which is why I say that I don't think I have it, because I think it is a slightly different edit. And then, of course, WoW WoW has their own different edits.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So perhaps
always
this is
asking for more.
Yeah, it's conceivable that this detail is too fine, but I did do that with Big Fox Festival actually at one point. I for the shows that overlapped between the Blu-ray and the WoW WoW broadcast, I actually did kind of go through moment by moment to see where the cuts were different, and there are a couple.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. Mm-hmm.
Some sort of shots that are from further away, some that are there's more crowd, I think, in the WoW WoW version.
I got you.
Anyway, yeah, so that's good. Hopefully, it's not easy to get WoW WoW abroad, but it's not impossible. Yeah. So there are pay services that you can get kind of like cheesy streams of.
Yeah, I can't remember what one is, but there is one where you can get like a 7-day free trial, essentially, if you've not signed up for it before. That's what I used a few times to watch a couple of the WoW WoW broadcasts. It started with an F. I can't remember exactly what it was offhand, but it was easy enough to maneuver at that time. But of course, now that I think it's been a couple of years at this point, so yeah, I definitely don't think. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, I think the thing you're thinking about actually doesn't exist anymore. It used to be Fuji TV and turned into 4Joy TV, but then after that they sort of stopped doing their trial thing. So
okay.
You actually have to get like a week or a day. I think there's like a 3-day pass or something. But
that's actually kind of cool though.
Yeah. So I did that for I did that for something recently that I was complaining about. I think it was the They did like a 10-year retrospective or something that was...
right.
Oh, yeah.
We did complain about that.
Yeah, because the way they set it up, they sort of like played partial songs and they played weird parts of the song, so it's just like the audience reactions and not... Oh. It was really very strange.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But to each their own, I guess.
So, another bit of news. In a recent 2020 issue of PMC, there's, they're on the cover and they have a big interview with Su Metal and Mo Metal. And just today, as we're recording, there's a new translation of that whole thing. So Funny Toss and I think Capable Paramedic together did a translation of this. It's long, it just came out today, so we're not going to talk about it today. We'll talk about it next time. But if you have a look at it, then you'll know what we're talking about when we talk about it next time. So,
yes.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. I did skim over it. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it last night. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. There is one thing that I wanted to point out in there, which is that, they did ask Moa at one point, like, what her favorite song is. And she's like, look, you are PMC. Every time you ask me this, I'm going to say BMC. Which, very cool.
Bless her.
But anyway, yeah. So we'll talk about that next time. But it's impressive that it's all been translated. It's really very readable. It was I'm sure a lot of work.
In fact, last night in our server here on Discord, somebody may have found a typo in the interview.
Well,
I don't think so.
They're going to follow up.
Somebody had actually, I think I read up on that. They had actually emailed the magazine or something, just making sure that it wasn't a typo, and it actually was not a typo.
Yeah. Basically, in the actual interview, what was written there was Rockmekan, but what was meant was Budokan. So, the people who were translating it actually wrote to the magazine to say, hey, is that right? Is that a typo? Did she actually say that? And apparently she did. She did say Rockmekan, even though it was really Budokan that was being referred to. And then there was a very similar sort of possible typo in this one, where Moa was referring to something that was 6 years ago. So
that was the one that I was mentioning. Yeah.
And the thing is that Budokan was 6 years ago. Rockmekan was 10, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one I was talking about.
And
that's what I was talking about too.
So ultimately, I think what it looks like to me is that it's an accurate rendition of what Moa said, and Moa was collapsing the two in her head.
Yeah, I totally can see that happening, because the kid's been doing a lot in 10 years and been a lot of places, and I can understand getting things muddled up. I get things muddled up in a couple days. So.
Yeah.
I can totally understand.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, she claims not to remember anything. So
well, I can kind of side with her on that, because I do, I'm in theater, and when you are up on stage and you are in your zone, remembering your lines, sometimes you do kind of just get into a certain just zone when you're performing. So I could totally back that kid up 100% on that. And she could be very much right that she's like, I don't remember anything except for the moment that she was in, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It is a thing with performers.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this interview, we'll talk about this in more depth, and maybe actually we might do other interviews too, because I think there are still some that we haven't really talked through. So perhaps that will be the topic next time.
Plenty of good translations we haven't gone through either of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess probably the biggest bit of news that will occupy the most of our discussion time is that we've now made it through several more shows at the Budokan, at Nippon Budokan. And so we've gone through 3, 4, 5, and 6. And they do, as we kind of guessed they would, they do kind of go in pairs. So 1 and 2 were the same basically as each other, and 3 and 4 were as each other, and 5 and 6 were. But so there have been a couple of notable songs played.
Notable is the big in italics and bold.
Yeah. So maybe we can let's work through them chronologically, which means I think that the very first one that was a surprise was, well, someone else want to say it?
From Dusk Till Dawn. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
I thought it was pretty funny that they tweeted it, like like in their tweet afterwards they said hashtag FDTD.
Like they made it very, very apparent that they purposely did that. It was just like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And also note that was the first time ever that it was performed in Japan, and only the second time is ever been performed.
Right. And it's the first time they have rights to the video.
Well, true. Yeah. So that's also a possibility that it once released. I mean, the only other thing I could consider is like maybe they'll do. I mean, this is obviously speculation on this, so this is not fact or truth or anything of that. Just want to make that noted. But they did do. There was the big thing with BMC where, everyone was like, why is it one of the international things? So, they released it as a single in and of itself, and then they released the video in and of itself. And I'm just wondering if maybe at some point in time soon, once all the Budokan stuff is finished, maybe they'll I think they released the single on Spotify in Japan. I think they did From Dusk Till Dawn as a single on Spotify. And maybe they'll release it as a video. I think that would be fantastic. But I think everybody, not just the Japanese fans, would really appreciate that, considering the situations surrounding that poor song.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I think my guess is that it's too old for them to do that. Like, I don't know if they would release a new single from like an album ago. But,
well, that does make actually a little bit of sense too. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, like, so it did, make it through the tournament, which I guess they thought it might, given that they led off with this little legalistic thing at the beginning of the tournament, which said, if we have the rights to it, if we don't have the rights to it, it's not going on.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there is a renewed interest that even if there's not a video of the sort of like, karate or BMC sort,
right,
that live video could conceivably be released, I suppose.
Yeah.
Kind of with you on that one, Paul. I don't see them releasing that specifically as a single or ripping that out of something on Budokan just to throw on YouTube. Just because it is old, that would feel weird.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe.
I don't know. Maybe you could do that as a promotion for the inevitable $10,000 20 Blu-ray collection of this Budokan series.
Oh my lands! I'm not looking forward to that price tag at all. Like,
right. Well, they did the same thing. There's precedent, right? They did the same thing for Legend S. They released was it No Rain, No Rainbow as a video?
Yeah.
To promote it. So, they could do something like that.
That's a possibility too, yeah.
That's arguably the most significant thing there. I mean, like there are several other significant things that have happened already in the Budokan shows that we will get to. But From Dusk Till Dawn does feel like it stands out a bit as being the most significant.
Yeah, for sure.
We, of course, and no, we haven't seen it very well. I mean, like, because all there are fan cams, and there aren't many of them. But it's still, we've seen enough to know that it's actually happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think from one of the fan cams that was swiftly taken down by Muse, thanks Muse. A lot of people are thinking that, well, I mean, I even listened to it. I'm pretty sure that somebody was recorded as a secondary backup song, added in with Moa, and thinking that it might actually have been Momoko. But whatever the recording was, or at least from what it sounded like, whomever was saying the secondary part of the line, heart and all that stuff, was definitely way deeper than normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm honestly, I've only ever heard, a few things from like a few little, SG videos I might have seen, but I've never heard her talk like that, So she might have that lower register, I guess. I'm not musically inclined to in that regard, but I mean, it could have very well possibly been her. So, but I think, which would have been cool. I
think it was pretty probably her.
Yeah. But with all these things, there's this huge, kind of like, I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but confirmation bias, perhaps. But I mean, like, we think it must be her, and so we hear her in it. But I mean, like,
right.
It could have been. There's a fair amount of this that people debate this on even like on the Legend Metal Galaxy recording. Is this just like 15 Sues, or is Ma in there somewhere?
Right. Yeah.
So, and it could be anybody with a slightly deeper voice too.
Yeah.
In principle, but it would be cool if it turned out to be true. I mean, there's a very similar thing about one of the other songs that got performed at a later Budokan show, where it's like, we know nothing about the actual people involved, but there's an obvious guess to make, and so people will say, "Oh, it must be these people," and believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
speculating about this band does definitely make me non-committal.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say 100%, but it does sound like her.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a lot of experience listening to past content from her in Sakura Gakuen, you can listen to Legend Metal Galaxy, where I think it's pretty obvious that the three Avengers each had their own
they did.
Yeah. Parts of the backing track during IDZ. And it does match pretty well what we hear during From Dusk Till Dawn and others at Budokan.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to the real recordings.
Yes.
The pro shots, because I mean there is, I can't not watch the fan cams, but they're terrible in comparison to what we will eventually get. Okay, that was the main sort of exciting bit of Budokan 3 to 4. And Wow trucks were definitely at one of them, maybe both of those first two. So I think that was it though for Budokan 3 to 4, and then Budokan 5 and 6 introduced a whole bunch of interesting stuff.
Yes. Yes, it did, as I rub my little grubby hands together. Lord. It just makes me just smile so big. It really does. Yeah.
So maybe, to actually do this chronologically, I think the very first thing that happened that we would not necessarily have been expecting was that there was a kind of a version of Baby Metal Death that opened the show.
Yes.
So that was interesting. It's when I heard it, I actually what it reminds me of is like when they do sometimes. I mean, Baby Metal themselves, I think, have done this a couple times, but I've definitely seen other people do it, where they'll go on a TV show and they'll do like a medley, So there's like a little bit of several different songs all smushed together, but it's just like a little chunk. And that's kind of the way I felt this Baby Metal Death was. It's like a couple of sections out of the middle. So it wasn't the full song. It didn't start at the beginning and it didn't end at the end.
Right.
It was really just like a couple of transitions, and nobody was on stage as far as I know except the band. but it was still cool.
Well, they came up on crosses, right?
Well, it looked like,
I don't know.
There was a tiny fan cam, I think, that was shared. It looked like that there was the episode 10 symbol that was on stage, and it looked like somebody was in front of the symbol, so they might have came up on the symbols as like a thing.
Yeah, I didn't actually see anybody on the stage. The thing I was looking at, it just had the symbol come up sort of out of the mist and then fade back into the mist.
Well, you can see, because I think you're probably, I mean, there's only two that I think I've seen so far, and we're probably seeing the same one. But if you look down below the symbol, you could see there is a pair of legs there. So I wasn't sure if it was like somebody who had like a 10 symbol, like as one of those like mascot things. I was just like, oh yeah, that seems a little odd. Just okay. And then somebody had mentioned about there being, the cross and things. I was like, oh, okay, well that would make a little bit more sense.
Right. Yeah, and that X-Book called it an interlude version. I think that's pretty accurate. And holy crap, it's heavy. They made it heavier.
My goodness.
This arrangement of it slaps. My God.
It's just, like totally very headbanger, like on your knees, start bowing, just do the death thing, just go hog wild. Mm-hmm. Like I was talking to somebody on Twitter, a good friend of mine, and we were just like, if they keep this as an opener, we're just going to lose our minds. it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. It's very, I'm curious to see if they do use it as an opener, like if there would be some like thing like they did with the prior version of Baby Metal Death, where they do their little jumps and things. Not that I expect jumps to actually happen, not with this version, but definitely the whole crossed arms, box signs, something along those lines. Maybe doing a routine, or maybe, I don't know, like it would be definitely a great opener though, for sure.
Okay, so my theory is it's gone after Budokan's over, because I think what they were doing is actually it looks like what they're doing is they're trying to go through the tournament winners. And so because Baby Metal Death made it through the tournament, they needed to do it, and they did it. They adapted it to the current circumstance, but I don't think it sort of exists as an introduction song. I mean, like, that's the whole point. Like, we are this, we are Sue, we are Yui, we are Moa, we are Baby Metal.
Yeah.
And they don't need to do that anymore. I feel like this is really in a very old category at this point, and probably this is its last visit.
Yeah.
Normally I would agree with you, but I can't rule it out anymore, just because they played From Dusk Till Dawn. Never thought that would happen again. That was a huge surprise.
But it's the same reason, though, right?
Sure, it's the same reason.
Yeah.
Well, we assume it's the same reason.
Yeah.
And the other things they played that we'll talk about here in a minute, we were also specifically told by the band they were never going to play them again. So.
And here we are.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah, but they won the tournament. I mean, so that's what I was thinking is they're sort of following this, this outline of what they're trying to do, but they have to, if they want to do that, they need to play these older songs, and yet they are adapting them somewhat for the present moment. So Baby Metal Death doesn't have Yui in it, and doesn't have anybody in it.
Right.
From Dusk Till Dawn made it through basically the same. They adapted at least one of these other old ones, and there's going to be another one probably, if this is the right interpretation of what they're doing, which they're presumably going to have to adapt in some way as well. But I do think that this is part of the 10-year thing, and that they'll be done with these, and I'm sure they'll have a nice opener in the future. But I'm not. I kind of doubt it's going to be this.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's. I mean, we're all speculating. I'm speculating in a different direction.
Yeah, it's all speculations at this point. Only the Fox God knows.
The setlist order has been exactly the same for all of these shows. They've been swapping out these two songs from each set to conform to the theory that they're just going through the 10 Legend Song Tournament winners.
Right. Okay, and then the next thing that was new for Budokan 5 and 6 was they played Akatsuki, which they had not played for a while.
Not since the Dark Knight Carnival set 2018, so it's been a few years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I think of it as being played a lot because they just played it throughout the U.S. tour before that, right?
Yeah, that was the staple.
Yeah, all
that one in
2018.
GJ was Moa's staple, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, saw the return of the Muscle Sisters. They came out and did the fight.
Yes.
Also, slightly different arrangement. Well, not slightly, pretty different arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the second bridge transitioned from the Akatsuki we all know to the unfinished version?
And then it switched right back into it.
And then it went right back. So you kind of get this cool mashup version that we hadn't really heard before. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty neat. It was pretty awesome.
The return of Baby Metal Death in Budokan 5 and 6 was a big thing. Akatsuki was, that was neat because we had a solo again. But probably the most, dramatic thing that happened is the return of Onodari Daisaksen, which that's what,
Yeah.
we were told they're not going to do this again. Then they did it again, and now they did it again. But I do think that this is quite possibly because of this tournament. I really do
Yeah.
like
It
that
definitely
song
fits the
too. I mean,
mold.
like that
I do
is what
too.
it is
Yeah.
one that I start with when I listen. You know.
Yeah, it's just it is catchy, albeit the subject matter is a little, you know, different. But the song in and of itself is, as far as rhythm and sound, it's just like, yeah, it's it's
Yeah,
up there.
I've always really liked it. I guess we've never. This isn't one that we've talked about specifically, but I've always sort of taken that to be. I have this theory that I talk about all the time, which is basically like what I think this whole project is basically somebody's idea of what little kids misinterpret metal as, when they don't really understand what they're hearing. And so I always really like this as kind of like the equivalent of like some kind of gangster song or whatever, right? It's like in little kid version, it's like getting your parents to give you stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a fun
Okay,
interpretation.
I see that. Yeah, that is a fun interpretation. I like it.
So, and all of the, I think Black Baby Metal songs do have that kind of edge to them a little bit, that, well, maybe not song 4, but,
Yeah.
but they are the sort of the darker side
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah. I mean, let's see, GJ was about basically like traveling around after school and stuff, just busy day. And then, let's see, Sis Anger, well,
That one is darker. Yeah, GJ, I guess, is a little bit more.
dark. That one's really dark.
Yeah.
One
I
of my
think
favorites,
GJ is a little bit more about just like, surviving the crowds.
Yeah. I mean, it is Japan. They have crowds. Oh boy, do they have crowds.
But yeah, so I mean, like the reason that they said they weren't going to do it anymore, we would imagine, is that it is really a very little kid perspective song. It's like the way you get dad to give you stuff is act cute,
Right.
and
Right.
with mercenary intent.
Yeah.
And so it is really weird to have a slightly older person, particularly an actual adult, singing it.
Yeah.
They did a really cool thing to make it work, though.
Yeah.
And I gotta give them just huge credit. I would have never thought of this in a million years.
Yeah.
The performance of this, they had 4 described to me as 4 backup dancers, all smaller than Moa. And the interpretation that I think is being accepted, it's like Moa was teaching them how to do things through this song. Right, so she's become the mentor in this, and I think that's a brilliant way to do this and to get around the fact that this song is from a, like Paul said, very little kid perspective.
Yeah. It's they had, as far as their outfits were concerned, they had the ones from the song just went out of my head. Oh my god.
It was like 2015 Makahari. It was red tutu, black socks with the bone hoodie. So it was the classic Onidai Daisakusen look, from 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But with the addition of the face masks, which are sort of timely and topical, but also make it that make the dancers even more anonymous.
Right. Yeah. So they were hood up and they had the 10 BMY face mask, COVID face mask on. There is speculation on who these performers were. There's no way to know. It's all speculation.
Exactly.
I think there's precedent. I'll say who the Japanese mates think they are. But again, this is purely speculation. There's no way to really confirm this, unless maybe there's a hint of it on Fresh tonight.
Yeah, or if they say, but I mean, like so we have mostly speculation of like where they could be drawn from.
Right.
Right.
So the theory is they're all amused kids. The soft identification is Miyu Oshima from Chow Smiles, Neo Sato, Miko Takada, and Sakia Kimura from Sakura Gakuen.
Yeah, but I guess the question I have about that is, if somebody said there are 4 people, they seem shorter than Moa, are those the exact same people you would have said, even having never seen these people on stage? I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'm not convinced that those names weren't already at the top of the list before trying to do any visual identification.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be them, but
especially with being so far away from the stage because of the COVID separation and stuff. That, I mean, unless you had binoculars and were like specifically just pinpointing yourself. And it's also for the fact that I'm pretty sure via fan cam, I don't think there was a whole lot of rotation. So I don't know how they could have identified even two of those people. So it's, I mean,
So
I don't
the
know.
best bit of information I have from Twitter is from a pretty reliable Japanese fan,
Mhm.
who says, basically, I was watching the show through binoculars and speculating with my friends based on what we could see through the binoculars.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough.
And to be fair, if you can see the upper half of these girls' faces, I'm sure I could pick them out in a crowd. I've watched enough SG to be able to do that. So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I definitely wouldn't have recognized the girl from Chow Smiles, Mew, if that's who that is. But there's no way to know for sure unless they have some really good shots of them in the pro shot.
Yeah.
Or they mention something. It wouldn't be the first time that something has been mentioned on Sakugakuen. They kind of tiptoed around it on a fresh episode with Kano.
Yeah.
After she made her debut, right? Of her doing extracurricular activities.
Yes.
That weekend. So
I remember that.
it's not impossible. I will definitely be watching Fresh tonight to see if anything like that happens. But it would be very cool.
And in case people don't actually know what that is, Fresh is it's a sort of like weekly show that Sakugakuen does. For us, it's like Monday, super early mornings.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Monday evening, Japan time. However that translates to you.
Yeah.
6 a.m. EST.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm quite skeptical of the names, even though even though it seems like, it's a kind of a no-brainer that the first place they would consider bringing people in from would be SG and Chow Smiles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I really like the idea of it. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah.
I've had a really hard time reconciling me wanting to believe this and knowing it's speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like in like my perspective, because I'm not as like heavily involved with a lot of the other Amuse, groups and things. It's just like, oh, cute. There's 4 dancers on the stage. This is adorable, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, so to the extent that all of these things are sort of like career development endeavors, this is a pretty good opportunity to give them, because it is almost certainly a 2-off. I mean, like, now that Budokan 6 is over, this song is gone.
Right. And just to say, too, it would have been Sakia's 12th birthday on the Friday performance. So that would have been a pretty awesome birthday, I imagine, if this pans out to be true.
Oh, man, that'd be the best birthday present ever, man.
Yep.
I got to perform with BABYMETAL.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of old hat for her. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff with perfume, and she's all over the place. So. Well,
true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
To be honest, I know nearly nobody from Sakugakuen, after you and Moa graduated, but
yeah,
I know of Kano and I know of Momoko, but I mean, there's only
the girl
so much
with the
time.
glasses was Soyo,
yeah.
Soyo. Okay, I kept my eye on her because I was like, yes, girl with glasses. That's my favorite.
yeah, she's and she's one of the 1-5 people now.
Yeah, now she's doing 1-5.
Was there? I don't know if there's more to say about Onodari Desaxen. It's amazing. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it happen on the pro shot.
Yes, that'll be fun.
But yeah, so I guess maybe the last piece of this. I mean, I already sort of was talking about this, but if they really are trying to go through the tournament winners, then the tournament winners were IDZ, Onodari Desaxen, Catch Me If You Can, and then a bunch of other stuff that doesn't matter because Catch Me If You Can is what I wanted to talk about.
Well, and that would be the only one they haven't played from the winner list yet, right? So
I think so, yeah.
So I think, I guess what I would expect, given that expectations are, designed to be subverted, but is that in whatever the next ones are, 7 and 8, we get Catch Me If You Can,
right,
in some form.
And if they do it, what the heck do they do for the last 2?
Well, that's going to be after Fox Day, and so it's quite possible that there's going to be, some larger thing that happens for those two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and looking forward to it, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or please look forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, so Catch Me If You Can it doesn't have quite the same problem that Onodari Desoxen did. Catch Me If You Can is it's kind of a pseudo Black Baby Metal song almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somewhat childish. I mean, it's about, hey, ogre, come and catch me.
It's literally about hide and seek. So
yeah, a little bit of hide and seek. Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll try to do a similar kind of trick. If there is going to be a second appearance of the the little kids.
That would be fun.
That would be interesting.
Everybody in a train going through Sue's legs.
Oh, my lands. Oh, my gosh.
That would be funny.
Well, the dresses are a little longer than they used to be, so that might be a little hard.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to need to do something else. I don't know what, but yeah.
Yeah, it would be a little rough. And also with the fact of, it was a back and forth between you and Moa, are they going to do the same thing as Give Me Chocolate and have Moa sing the whole entire thing? Which, I mean, of course, I'm not against that.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty likely. That's how I would do it. I think that's the precedent set, but who knows?
I mean, the thing that's always weird about that when that happens, particularly in Give Me Chocolate, is that the camera doesn't know what to do. Like, the camera always just shoots over to the Avenger.
Yeah.
And so...
And typically they're usually, mouthing it too when she's doing it, so...
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's fine. The, drummer does that too. But, I mean, sometimes I do see people complain about that. It's like, why are they doing that? Why don't they just give them a mic? But I mean, like, everybody's mouthing along. It's not just the Avenger.
Yeah.
Right.
But, anyway, so we'll see what happens, I guess. But I do expect to see it, which is kind of cool because I kind of didn't expect to see it again. So
yeah. If they do it, that would mark only the second time in this podcast history we've made a correct prediction.
Yep. Not bad. But
taking notes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I guess that's basically that pretty much covers where we are in the Budokan evolution. So when is the next one? I don't have that in front of me. When are
March?
7 and 8?
It's mid-March sometime.
Okay, so we have 2 or 3 weeks.
I don't have it in front of me either, but it is a couple weeks in March.
Okay. Yeah, and then
the last 2 are in April.
Right. Yeah. So that's the main thing I remember is that they set this up so Fox Day cuts off 9 and 10.
Right.
So yeah, I don't even know what to think about Fox Day. People pretty much since like the second day after Metal Galaxy was released, people are going, "We want a new song," because people are just dumb. But
well, I mean, it had its own, the whole situation. They weren't expecting to have to drag it out as long as they did either. I think they were, expecting to have everything released in like the end of 2018. I think was probably the original plan, but of course we all know what happened. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not actually sure because I've heard the exact opposite that Koba actually wanted to wait longer, but
oh, really?
But Amuse said no way, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, like I think Legend Metal, I think Metal Galaxy got released earlier than Koba would have preferred.
Oh.
Because I think he wanted to make it. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if he wanted to make it coincide with the 10th anniversary or not, but there was definitely when we had Amuse input on the Discord, that was one of the things that we had heard.
Oh, okay. Well,
but anyway, part of what I was thinking was that it has now been a while since Metal Galaxy has been released.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of bugs me is that people have often said, well, they haven't had anything to do, for this year. surely they've made new music. But, well, for one thing, the pandemic is hard. It's not a lot of people aren't just sitting around idly.
Right.
Yeah. Some people are, but certainly not everybody. And the other thing is that the people who do a lot of the music, composition and recording, wouldn't be affected by whether they're touring or not. I mean, that's not the same people.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the pandemic itself is an explanation for like why we expect there to be music, but it has been over a year now, right? Since the album was out. So
it's been it's about almost a year and a half at this point.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So it is conceivable that might be something that we get out of Budokan 9 and 10.
Episode 11.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. If they are saying that Metal Resistance episodes are finito, then it might be a new episode name.
Yep, episode A.
Episode A.
A1.
New area. New area. It is a new area. New era.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, I find it pretty hard to take any of that stuff seriously because, I mean, every second concert is like Apocalypse, Doomsday, end of, is this the end was how Legend S was broadcast, and what was it? I think, Legend Z even was like,
Legend Z.
It counted down to nothing and then disintegrated the logo. And here we are many years later.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, you kind of gotta, being in this fandom, you kind of gotta take everything with just a grain of salt and just kind of run with it and just enjoy the ride. Yeah. Basically, that's kind of what I have to do just to kind of keep myself sane.
Yep, absolutely.
Lord Almighty, I couldn't do it. It's just like, oh, okay, it happened. And it's like, okay, well, this could happen, but it's like, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, well, they're still around. They still exist. I like their music, and it's still fun. So that's kind of how I have to fly along with it. So
yeah, and there's always basically with any band, any artistic endeavor, when they get to the next thing that they do, it can either be different or it can be the same.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There will be people who will complain if it's different, and there will be people who complain if it's the same.
Yep. That's true.
So,
exactly.
You can't satisfy everybody, unfortunately. I guess kind of my 2 cents in that regard is that so long as the artist in and of themselves is enjoying what they're doing, and they feel like they themselves are being, they're creatively expressing themselves and they're pushing themselves and they're enjoying it, then that's good enough in my book. Now, kind of like quick example, I know we don't talk about Linkin Park, but Linkin Park kind of did that thing, albeit I did not enjoy a lot of their like newer stuff, but I still love them as a band because they were doing newer stuff. So it would be kind of the same concept.
Yeah, although I don't know that group.
Fair enough.
Nevertheless, I mean, like, that's certainly makes sense. The people who shift dramatically, some people are not going to like it because it's not like what they used to do. But I think also with Baby Metal specifically, it's sort of like we do have the old stuff is not being taken away. We still have that, even if they do something different and we maybe don't like as much the thing that they do that's different. I mean, like, you haven't lost anything, you just haven't gained anything. And I think that maybe is particularly true in this case because one thing that is never coming back is them being 12,
Right.
So whatever things relied on that, we have the record, but there's no point in continuing to try to do that in the future because it will never be, that is not in the future.
Hang on. I can't let you get away with you don't know Linkin Park.
I don't. I've heard it. I know it's spelled. I know there's a K in the first word, but
well, I mean, that's at least something. That's something. I will give him credit for that.
Yeah. How would I have?
There's no way you haven't heard at least one of their songs. Have you watched a Transformers movie?
Not intentionally. I did
unintentionally. Have you watched one?
I was taken to one.
You've heard a Linkin Park song. Because
Yeah.
they did all of the stupid music for those movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't remember there being any songs,
And
but okay.
I don't know about stupid, but that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
I think
all of those were terrible. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in the chat, and if you haven't heard this before, just listen to it, just to educate your music mind.
sure.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. I'm slightly conflating. I'm pretty sure that I saw a Transformers movie, but it might be slightly conflating that with. Now I've lost track of what that other one is.
What would you confuse it with?
It's one of these where like it takes two people to like mind meld into this big robot that fights other monsters.
Oh, you're probably thinking of Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim. Yeah, you're thinking that
That's
one.
probably what you...
Because I think that's what people say. Oh, the people, they like this movie. I could not believe how well, anyway, I didn't like it very much. Let's just leave it at that.
So
Everyone's
they're
to
not
each
good
their own.
It was like
movies,
it was
but they're
super
fun.
shallow.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was shallow and incomprehensible. Why do you need people's
Was
brain
there
in-
substance?
Paul,
Yeah.
you don't go to a movie like that expecting Shakespeare when it's giant robots beating up giant aliens from
Monster.
another dimension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's
no.
the thing. Is that, like, essentially, it was kind of like a group outing to a movie, and that was not the one I voted for. But
Fair
the group
enough.
went. I
Yeah,
think very similar.
sometimes you just kind of got to go with the flow when it's just like grit your teeth and be like, well, as long as everybody else enjoyed it, I guess I enjoy the fact that they enjoyed it. So we'll move
was
on.
There was
I get to
another
choose
one.
next time.
Maybe it was called Lucy or something. There was something about like like using the other 90% of your brain or something like that.
Oh, that one's with
It was-
Scarlett
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Johansson. Yes.
I found
didn't
this,
get to see that one.
I can't remember the name of it.
I
Yeah.
think it was called Lucy. Yeah.
I saw that with the same group, different year, and I found that similarly ridiculous.
Oh gosh.
But anyway, so I should stop going to movies with that group. Is the ultimate conclusion there.
Yeah.
Or
So
or I
anyway.
should get more votes.
Ah,
One of the two.
Yeah.
Although then they would hate it. But- so I realized partway through this that we actually do have a topic for this episode, and we haven't reached it yet. So maybe it's time to turn to the topic, which we're sort of getting slightly into here, and say welcome, Maggie.
Hi.
Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah.
Thank
Like, how did you come to know Baby Metal?
Basically, I became a fan in 2015. There was a girl that I was acquaintances with here locally, and her like big interest was foxes. And on Facebook for her birthday, a friend of hers, who I no idea, posted a video, and I cannot remember which video it was like, hey, there's this Japanese group that deals a lot with foxes, albeit I know metal is not your thing, but it's still kind of cool to look at. And it was Baby Metal. And so it just so happened it was like, I like Japan. Okay. And so I watched it, and of course, roughly searching the internet like, what is this? This is amazing. This is fun. This is cute. This is metal. This is fantastic. And it just so happened, because I do remember this specifically, it was either March or April of 2015, because that was right before, because I'm located in Ohio, the United States, which is East Coast essentially. Which is also home to the former Rock on the Range in Columbus.
Oh yeah.
And it was either a month and a half before that happened when they were first there in 2015. And all the tickets were sold out. And I was devastated. So it's like, oh my God,
Aw.
they're only going to come here once. And I'm just like, I'll never get to see them again. And oh my God, I was devastated. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep a track with these people. And then of course now 5-6 years later, here I am. So yeah, that was my introduction, was a little birthday blurb.
That's cool.
Huh.
Yeah, I can identify with that. I also sort of got to know them fairly soon after they had passed through my city, and I was totally panicking. It's like, this is a band of little kids. They're not going to be little kids anymore. This is going to end, and I'm going to miss it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah.
so you said that metal is not your thing. So you
Well,
didn't. So is that you're coming at this from a
okay.
different musical background?
Somewhat. So, I will say, as far as childhood stuff is concerned, that I was very blessed with my mother and father being they're interested in multiple different genres. Um,
Hmm.
except my father did a lot of the rock and bluegrass, 80s hair metal or 80s hair rock, that sort of thing. But he was never really into metal, like hardcore metal. The closest probably would have been, and it was Metallica.
Uh,
I mean,
So
that's
that was really my first introduction, to be completely honest. I loved the Black Album, and I also, my first initial introductions were Load and Reload, which apparently is like the worst ones to get introduced to, but I
it's
found them
funny.
absolutely fantastic. Although I recently had my childhood ruined, but if anybody's interested in that, I could always blurb about that later. Um, about the covers for the two albums. Anyway,
Hmm.
but also through the 90s, my dad kind of got into a little bit of Marilyn Manson and a little bit of White Zombie, Rob Zombie. My brother and I, who my brother is about 5 years younger than I am,
Hmm.
we'd kind of my parents had a sizable CD collection, so we'd every once in a while like sneak in and like, okay, well, I'm gonna listen to this one, and then of course it'd get all scratched, and then my father would yell at us for scratching up the CDs. But I did listen to a little bit of Marilyn Manson, not a whole lot, but I listened to a decent amount of Rob Zombie, like White Zombie. And
Hmm.
so I was just like, okay, this stuff is really cool, but I never really like really got into it. I do listen to a lot of like electronica, dance,
Hmm.
tech sort of things. I do like standard like mainstream rock, and I do like some mainstream pop, not as much as I used to, but um, Britney Spears was my jam for a while.
Hmm.
But I think once I don't know, like with baby metal, it at the time when I was being introduced, I have this thing where I kind of go through phases where I'm like, okay, this I really like this pop stuff. Okay, I'm gonna be very tomboyish and I like this rock stuff, Linkin Park, Metallica stuff. Okay, I'm switching back over to listen to a lot of electronica and things. It just kind of is a back and forth thing. With baby metal, though, I was pleasantly surprised that it did have, the mix of the pop and the metal together, and it just meshed so well. And I think probably a lot of people would maybe agree with me, even who do listen to both variations of music. Like it gives you this energy, like this aggressive hyperactivity, just energy,
Hmm.
and it's good for me because I tend to be kind of very hyperactive at times for reasons, and it gives you that just like energy to get on with your day no matter what. It just makes you happy. No, unless you're listening to like No Rain, No Rainbow, where you're crying like a baby, or Shine, where you're bawling and it's like, this is so beautiful. But it just gives you that energy that you need to get through the day, and it's just fantastic. But to kind of re bunny trail myself back to what I was talking about initially, um, after baby metal, I think is when I started to really actually start listening to a lot more metal.
Uh-huh.
Um, and of course, there's been some introductions here and there. And I definitely listen to a lot more like heavier stuff. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
since then, so thank you, baby metal. I appreciate your introduction. You are doing your job. So, but I do. I had that mix of interests, but now baby metal has kind of expanded that for me. So, yeah,
Uh-huh. Cool. Cool.
my rant for the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned like starting Metallica with the Black Album and onward, because that's like the point at which I left them. It's like, oh well, okay, they've gone in a direction I was not into. But yeah, at any rate, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's interesting to say this, but for me, it was definitely I was pretty into sort of some metal stuff early on, and then I just left it. It had been years in the past, and that's one thing that was kind of cool about baby metal was that like suddenly it's like, oh yeah, this was kind of neat,
Yeah.
And it hasn't brought me that much back to the older stuff, but it definitely has kind of like expanded me from like into other Japanese stuff as well, and a little bit, maybe perhaps Linkin Park now as a result of this.
Yes, excellent. But they were like the first band that I was like actually a fan of. Like I was like, and what's really sad is I've never been to any of their concerts, and of course, albeit you wouldn't know this, but their lead singer did unfortunately commit suicide a few years back, so they are now no longer. I mean, they're together, but without their lead singer. So,
yeah.
So that was kind of a hard take.
Yeah.
For me, being the initial, that was my jam in high school. Well, specifically my junior and senior year of high school was Linkin Park. There was another one called Fuel, who was actually before Linkin Park, that I was a big fan of, but I wasn't as intense about it as Linkin Park. And then the next big thing was baby metal. I mean, it's just because like throw all my money at them.
Well,
as we all do.
in the chat, we a couple of photos were dropped in, and so apparently you met GMB Chumachuk too.
Yes, he is a sweet man. He's very, very nice. I did an overnight trip because, like I said, I'm in Ohio. So I took a Greyhound bus overnight with my Sioux Metal outfit on, and we went to the panel, or I went to the panel for the Apocrypha, excuse me, Legend of Baby Metal graphic novel release like panel. And it ended up meeting a couple of fans there. One from New York, and then from New York City specifically, and one from Ireland, which you probably are aware of who I'm speaking of.
Yeah, just saying it that way, we already know who you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs no introduction.
Needs no introduction.
The other Paul.
The other Paul.
And Brian, yeah.
And then Uncle Brian, whom I lovingly say as such, because he's just always so just for everybody, making sure everyone's okay, just being like, hey, so I call him Uncle Brian, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he does. He does a lot of the fan meetup organization too.
Yeah, he sets up a lot of that.
Yeah.
But so it was the three of us. We all met together, and albeit I did spend a little bit of the day with Paul just running around New York City too, because we had some time. But yeah, got to meet the artist. He was like super, super nice. And then I think the writer too, he was really nice. Like everybody was, and there was somebody from Muse there, and he was really, really nice too. We got to talk to a few people.
I wonder if the person that was from Muse is the person that we had like giving us information in Discord. It might.
I honestly don't know. I have no idea, but he was really nice too. Everyone was really nice. I did take a picture with the two of them, and there was actually another person from New York City, Baby Metal fan who was there too. She used to run the Funko, not the Wondrous Journey, but she had a Funko Pop Instagram. She doesn't have it anymore, but she's still around on Twitter and things too as another name. But I think she was there too. Jessica, I think was her name. But
cool.
But yeah, no, that was a fun day. That was really cool because that's when they actually dropped the beginning of Starlight. So we got to be there for the introduction of Starlight. I was just like, that was cool.
I think that was that event was slightly before the thing was released. I think, right?
It was 2 or 3 weeks before, yeah, before the whole announcement of Yui and then the release of Starlight, the full song. Yeah, because I believe that was the same day as the first show of the Chosen 7 series, I think, too. But yeah, so we had a slate introduction because everyone was speculating, oh, is that Yui in the la 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 la?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think I do remember too that like people were looking at the photos of that event to try to find spoilers for inside the graphic novel. Like the graphic novel itself wasn't out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, find the something or other.
The audio
I can't. It was like a hashtag, and it was like it ended up being just like a tome picture thing, which actually I'm looking at them right now. I do have all 3 of the posters that were released, and they are all signed by GMB. And the one poster, which is the one with the big crow-looking thing with, I think it's supposed like the Sue person is holding up like a tablet, and that was what the Automite or something was.
Yeah, the
Automite was. Ended up being. So, but yeah, his art is just super, super cool. It's really, really neat, and I'm really glad that he was able to do that. Have you had him on the podcast before?
No, we talked to him a little bit, sort of a long time ago when this was kind of new. That kind of fizzled out, but
fair enough.
That's actually interesting inside information. He was going to be on the podcast, but just kind of started ghosting us and disappeared, like he did all of the people he didn't fulfill orders for. So
yeah, which might have they might be connected. I mean, like I think
they might be connected.
I think he is a very pleasant person. I think he actually is I think he teaches and
yeah, he's a professor. Yeah,
but and he has actually a pretty nice podcast about sort of like the industry.
I've listened to it a few times. Yeah.
I mean, I like him a lot. I think he would be a interesting guest. But the problem is that for all those things that he's good at, sort of actual like fulfilling orders and mailing things is not his strong suit. So a lot of people got their
he
like
might got a bit overwhelmed more than he didn't probably realize how much he was in for when he did this.
Yeah, so he took orders for commissioned work, and that that was all him basically, and that wound up being pretty slow to go out if it went out at all.
Right.
But also the like some of the deluxe apocryphas and stuff, got kind of banged up in shipping because they were really not very well packaged.
No, they weren't. I got one that had a little bit of a crease on the edge of it, but I mean, elsewise it's in good condition. So I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about it. It'll be fine.
But I think he would be fun to talk to. Like, apart from the fact that it would be hard to avoid, the critiques of the shipping. Yeah. But I mean, it would be fun to kind of hear a little bit about the interactions. I mean, we heard some of it on, I think I read it AMA or something, but with Team Baby Metal and like the degree to which they're connected. Because I think Chomachuk worked a lot, mostly with Amiza USA, and kind of only indirectly with Japan. Anyway, sorry, it was inspired by a picture that was posted in our Discord chat. But another thing that's sort of notable about that is that you do go all in on this when you're attending events.
Oh, I try.
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Actually, and I do make costumes. That's my jam. I enjoy it a lot. I have, for funding purposes, I did sell that specific one. I'm not sure to whom. I mean, I do know to whom, but not like specifically. I just know that for that specific outfit, it was a girl's birthday. Her father had bought it for her, and she did wear it to, I think it might have been Kansas City, not 2019, whenever they went the second time.
Yeah, the Rewriting Memories edition.
Yeah. I think she wore it to that. And then I did I did make one for Legend M.
Oh,
I made the outfit for that Moa was wearing for Legend S. I made that for that show. I did sell that to some girl in Florida. I've not seen it since.
uh,
I did make an outfit for, and apparently, from what I've been told, is that it was the quickest one to, it was the first person to actually make it. I made the 2018 Sue outfit,
Hmm.
like only like 5 days, or like I can't remember how many days prior to Charlotte. I made that one and I did sell that one. And I do know who I sold it to. She wore it to the forum. I
uh,
did not get to see her at the forum with it on, but I did see pictures and she looked adorable in it. Albeit like we're like five size difference.
uh,
Me being the bigger of the two, so like she had to like take it in, and she did a little bit of editing with it, which it looked really nice. I was really impressed. But and then the last one that I did was, it took me about a week and a half to do like hardcore, and I did the Metal Galaxy outfit. And by
mhm.
golly molly, I am never letting that thing go. Because holy smokes, the work that went into it. I am highly impressed by all the design factors of whomever makes the baby metal outfits now. They're just like purposely making things harder.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just like, well, okay. But yeah, I try to have fun. And it's just like cosplay is just is fun as well. So,
sure.
putting the two together, I enjoy it. And so yeah, now I haven't gotten to the point of learning all the dances.
Okay.
I just dress up. That's it.
So our listeners can look forward to some good costuming insights in
Yeah.
the future, I think.
What do you
Yeah,
think of the
uh,
like the Dark Knight Carnival ones? Did you, because those
um
always, I think of those as being super intricate.
those were very, very intricate. Because there's a lot of things like with their outfits and stuff, and I'll try not to delve into too much because, like Kevin said, we might try to do something
Sure. Yeah.
about this at
We
some point in time.
This could be
But
a teaser for a future episode.
yeah, um, but yeah, it was very intricate. A lot of different materials were used, and like you kind of had to keep looking back into it. It's like, oh wait, I missed this part. There's this part. Like their neck pieces were actually like you could actually see through the top portion of the arch, which you
Mm.
don't notice it straight off unless you're like zooming in. It's like, well, wait a second, this is actually.
Hmm.
But like I said, it just kind of makes it very. It's like, amused, can you please hire me?
Yeah.
It's like, can I work with you on these? This would be great. But not that that's, I think,
Mhm.
is ever going to happen. I don't have the professionalism of my costuming to be able to match up to be able to do that sort of thing. But plus, I do like only really doing it as a hobby. I don't really do it as like a job. Every once in a while, I'll do commissions,
Mhm.
and I have had a few people do some commissions. There's a girl in Chicago. I've done a couple of outfits for her. One for Baby Metal, which was for the last year, and then I did one for her for when we saw Ghost together up in Chicago, which
Huh.
also another band, if you've not heard of them, pretty fantastic. If you can get past the whole kind of satanic thing, but
Yeah.
it took a moment, but it did. And they're still pretty good. And then I did do another commission as well. So although this is not an open invitation to be asking me for commissions, I'm just saying that right away, because I just it's very kind of like a hit or miss sort of thing. So, but
Mhm.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy costuming, and I will say, since going and seeing Baby Metal, which was like I think my first show was 2016. That's basically all I've been cosplaying is Baby Metal.
Mhm.
I haven't been cosplaying anything else,
Hmm.
just because there's just that's just what I do my cosplay for now is for Baby Metal concerts. At this point, I actually just came up with an outfit that I've put together for just random S&Gs. Um, I haven't really done anything non-Baby Metal until this one. So,
Interesting.
albeit though, I'm curious. As soon as the as soon as like the release of the 10 Baby Metal gold outfits, I already made mention. I was just like, it's not happening. No, I'm not making this. No, not after the hellscape that was Metal Galaxy outfits. There is no way. I'd have a better like way of doing it. I have a but at the same time, it's just way too intricate. Like they're purposely making my life a living hell right now with their outfits. There may not be as many in the future, but we'll see.
So maybe we can close out with some rapid fire questions.
Okay, sure.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Shoot.
Favorite song?
Changes from day to day, but just in long term, I always tend to go towards Ine.
Interesting.
Yeah, good choice.
That's
I respect that.
Yeah.
Probably an unusual one, but
yeah.
Cool.
Well, I like it more because of the change of, which is odd. Normally, I don't like change in type rhythm things, but just something about that one just is very like, okay, it gets back into it. It has a good mix into the different genres. And it's just kind of like fun to kind of bop your head and then headbang and then bop your head again. So
yeah, totally.
It does feel like it's over dramatic,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, favorite member.
I mean, my computer is named after her, if that says anything.
Excellent.
I have her signature as a decal on the side of my computer, if that says anything.
Outstanding.
It's like, and every time I do play a lot of like online games and things, and so every once in a while I'm talking with some friends of mine. I'm like, man, Moa girl, you need to calm down. And it was just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm talking about my computer, the graphics card's overheating or something like that. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Dragon Furry wants to know, what shows have you been to?
Oh boy. So I can rapidly go through those. So 2016, I went to Philadelphia. Also went to the AP Awards show because it was in Columbus, which I'm about currently an hour and a half away from there. So I went to the AP show.
That
So I
is
did
amazing.
see the Rob Halford Baby Metal mix, and oh my God, that was fantastic.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. 2017, I got to go to the Forum to see Korn, Stone Sour, Baby Metal, and a couple others. I did go to see those. And then 2017 was also the first time that I went to Japan. I went to the Osaka shows, which I am now apparently, obviously for reasons, very grateful for. Because I was so bummed out. I was like, oh my God, Legend S, this is going to be, I can't believe I missed it. And then, of course, the situation happened. I'm like, oh, retrospect. I guess I'm very lucky, in that regard. So that was 2017.
The Big Fox Festival is like, continues to be like one of my top favorites. I mean,
it was a very good
great
show.
one to go to.
It was a very, very good show, yeah. It was fantastic.
I wasn't there, but I mean, like, among the ones that I watch, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Let's see. So that was 2017. 2018, I went to Charlotte, and then also went to, actually, what's funny is that was the first time I went to Rock on the Range, but that was also the last year that Rock on the Range happened. So I do count my blessings on that one as well. So that was 2018. In 2017, I had since missed Legend S. I was like, I am not missing, if I'm assuming is going to happen, Legend M. So I saved up for about a year and a half, and I went to Legend M in 2019. It was the first time I went to Washington, D.C., and then went to the Forum. And then the last shows was actually the 2020 shows of Legend Metal Galaxy. I got to go to both nights, so that was exciting. So I think if I count like special appearances and special concerts and both nights and days of concerts, I have so far went to 15 altogether.
Very nice.
Pretty good.
Pretty good for considering the fact that I missed out on the first Rock on the Range. freaking
And
out that I was missing him.
You got a solid from Paul in chat. So
Nice.
I think that means you've done pretty well for yourself.
Yeah.
I have moved up in the world. This is great.
I think the Washington D.C. show, if I'm not mistaken, was the one where Koba was spotted nearby, like eating, and somebody went up and talked to him, and Koba was actually nice to him, like asking him about
Oh, really?
where he was from and all that stuff.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. No. Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah. I mean, my impression of sort of Koba in the concert situation is kind of like, grumpy and not interested in, he kind of wants to just make sure the show is going, but
Right.
it seems like outside he was kind of nice.
Yeah. Actually, I do have a slight Koba story. So I have a friend from Australia that likes to drink a lot. So we were at Rock on the Range together, and which we had just previously met at the Charlotte show as the dude who was lying on the concrete fast asleep while pizza was being served beside him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was there. I saw that happen as well.
But so wait, you were at the
I was at the Charlotte show, yeah.
You were. Oh,
yeah.
so we probably have met then.
Yeah.
So was I.
I'm trying to think, did we meet at was it Yokohama? Did you go to Yokohama before Legend M, or did you
I went to Legend M. So that would have been our first time.
Was that where we met?
I think so. I was trying to think about that too. Like, where was the first time I met Kevin? This is like, okay, I think it was Legend M. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
But anyway, so back to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I had met Ryan prior, and we were just hanging out, running around, doing something. I can't remember why we had to go towards the back, but Ryan spotted Koba. And what does Ryan do but run, because there's an area between the sound booth and the stage, because it's one of the side. They were the closers for the side stage, the second side stage, the bigger one. Mm-hmm. So it's gated from the sound booth up the middle off to the side. So you could see Koba just starting to kind of walk down the side. And what does Ryan do? He runs up and he's like, hey, can you tell us anything about Yui? And I had to run in front of him and like, listen, don't you dare say anything like that. Cause I'm freaking out like, oh my God, Koba is gonna sick the security on us or something. And so I'm holding Ryan back, can you just shut up? And he's like, what? I just want to know. And I'm like, oh God, Ryan, why? So that's my interaction with Koba is through Ryan.
Yeah.
Who was an interesting human being. But no, I mean, as far as Koba's concerned, yeah, I've heard he just wants to make sure everything's going good. And I mean, he doesn't seem like he would be a bad guy. He's just a little awkward, I guess, would be the best way to say it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, at least from what we can determine from what he does, he's kind of a perfectionist. He just wants to make the show run. He wants to make sure that everything's happening.
Right. Exactly.
But I mean, we've seen these old videos of him on the radio show and stuff, and he's just a goofball. I mean, he's hilarious when he's off.
Yeah, when he's not in mode.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a huge amount of just comedy in Baby Metal.
Well, yeah. Bup, 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 boop. Yeah. What you did not see there was me bouncing in my chair and then bopping my head over to the side like Sue does. But anyway.
Yeah. Did you have another rapid fire question?
I did. Though it's kind of the rapid fire idea is kind of gone at this point.
Sorry.
Favorite show that isn't one you've been to?
That isn't one I've been to? Legend S. I will definitely say that Legend S is probably one of my top favorite shows to just if I'm feeling it, just sit and just watch it, because it's just fantastic. So yeah, Legend S definitely is one of my favorite not shows I've been to.
Favorite piece of merch you own?
Oh land. As I look around my desk right now, where all my merch is. You know what? My favorite merch is not one that I purchased, actually. My favorite piece of merch comes from the very first show I went to, which, like I said, was Philadelphia 2016, I was standing in the VIP line. His name was Haru, so Haru-san. But I was standing behind him, and of course I'm nervous as I'll get out, trying to be like, I want to talk, English. Like, are they good at it? I don't want to talk because obviously, if you haven't figured out right, I talk fast sometimes, and so I know that kind of is like really hard to understand at points. So I'm like trying to talk slow and be like, well, he actually had the band, the one from the chapter of Trilogy Yokohama Arena, the finale. He had the rubber band from that. He actually took it off his wrist and gave it to me. So so I have the wristband from Act 1 and 2, December 12th and 13th. I have it in my hand right now. So this is probably like the one piece of merch that I can never ever let go of. I will never ever ever let go of, just because it's just that special to me. But as far as aside from that, probably the coolest piece of merch that I have is from Legend M, which is the gauntlets, because I did go to both nights, so that meant that I got a gauntlet for each night. So I have a gauntlet for both my hands, and they're just the coolest thing.
Hard to eat cereal with them, but
yeah, yeah. Oh no, I walk around with them all day. It's like it makes me feel like a superhero. But what was cool though is because I was wearing the Legend S Moa outfit. It's silver and black, so they actually matched with the outfit that I was wearing. So I was like, this is nice. This is cosplay worthy. Okay. So yeah, that's probably my like favoriteest piece of merch aside from the Yokohama rubber band. So the fan gifts are the best piece of merch. I mean, I also have like all these different things from all the other shows that I've been to, and there's actually one where I got the person who gave it to me was like kind of taken back that I even really liked it enough. But someone was giving out calculators with the Sue and Moa in the background, like it's see-through, and they were like, I was like just gasping over it. I was like, this is so cool. So it's just like, but it's a calculator. I'm like, it's still really cool. But yeah, fan merch is just fantastic. It just the fandom in general is just so welcoming and just so nice. And as with any other fandom, they have their downsides, but for the most part, the baby metal community has been nothing but just awesome. Glad to be a part of it. Glad that I was introduced to it. I'm glad it came into my life because it has changed my life to some degree. It definitely would not be as interesting as without them. I think, just to put a few words in, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I've also, I mean, it's allowed me to meet people from all around the world that I never would have had any other opportunity to. I mean, let's see, from Brazil, Argentina, Ireland, UK, Czech Republic,
yep.
From Japan, from China, from Taiwan, yeah. Or Thailand, Taiwan, one of the two. I mean, just like
probably both.
Probably both, yeah. But like you meet people from all over the world, and I'm good friends with a lot of people now, and and we talk, and it's fun, and we all have this one interest, albeit of course at different levels, which mine is kind of like mid-high-ish. It's not like super high, but it's kind of mid-range, I think, as far as a fan's concerned. But it definitely has thank you, internet. Thank you so much. Thank you, Al Gore.
I'm not sure if going to shows, cosplaying is mid-range. That's an interesting calibration of the scale.
I guess. I mean, if you want to see it that way, I guess so. I mean, and I guess trading notes from everybody, I tend to go a little hard into when I'm making outfits, and then I go to these shows and I see everybody else, who has made them have them. And it just seems like it's so done so simplistically, yet it looks so amazing. It's like, why can't I just do things easy? Like, it's like, why do I have to go into it so hard sometimes? But as like I shared it on Twitter the other day, I was like, look at all the different variations of how they've all done their outfits, but they look so good. Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, the Baby Metal fandom is just fantastic. It's great. It's fun. I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm also glad that it brought me into doing the podcast with you guys, which also I must note that this is my first foray into the podcast world. So I'm a little, well, I guess it's kind of perfect for me because I do like to talk. So, but I do look forward to working with the two of you guys and yapping about Baby Metal and other random things. So yeah,
no,
I look forward to it.
We're quite happy to have you here.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
The concept of the podcast was really supposed to be, kind of like recreating the environment in line waiting for a show. So that's exactly what you're talking about is the thing we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it is funny how, we were remarking on this, I think the last couple of times, but it is kind of amazing that we're, over 50 episodes into this and we still it doesn't feel like we ran out of stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess there was a question in the chat.
Yeah, we were talking about the costumes. Is it?
Should they bring back the red? What is your favorite BM outfit?
Yeah.
Ooh. My
the
favorite.
person who asked the question has an opinion on the bringing back the red. I will note.
I see that. My favorite outfit has to be Headbanger. Has to be Sue's Headbanger outfit. I am a sucker for Victorian jackets, and just that look in and of itself is just, it's chef's kiss.
So
I love it.
Very, very early one.
The very, very early one, yeah. Albeit I love pretty much all the outfits. I do have opinions on a few of them where they could have maybe tweaked some things, but definitely top favorite is Sue's Headbanger outfit. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been my guess, but so so Ine wouldn't have been my guess, and this outfit wouldn't have been my guess. So this is great.
I have foiled your plans.
Yeah. So, no further checks in the correct predictions column.
Sorry.
Cool. Anything else we should cover? But as usual, I'm looking at the clock and thinking, whoa,
Yeah, I was like, dang, it's been almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
I will make note, just on a personal note, I do have a Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
But,
plug the Twitter.
But note that my Twitter is not specifically just Baby Metal. I like multiple different ranges of things. So if you do plan to follow me, just note that you're getting yourself into a lot.
And where can they follow you? What's the at?
My handle is at the number 1 radical RADICAL GRL. And for those of you who play the anime game, that is a reference to Radical Edward from Cowboy Bebop, because that was my first
nice.
love of anime. Edward was my, I guess you could say, my muse, my spirit animal growing up through college, and I basically embodied her, the weird and the weird department. But so that's what that's from. Although I'm debating on whether to change that or not, but at the same time, it's just like, But that is where you could follow me.
Mm-hmm.
I am under Mizuni Metal, which that's in a story in and of itself, how I came up with that. But so yeah. So if you decide to follow me on Twitter, just note that you're getting yourself into a lot. So
Excellent. That's right. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, welcome aboard. We look forward to many future episodes.
Thank you. Yes.
And I think I'll close it off unless there's something else someone else wants to say.
Nope.
I think we're there.
Good on that. Yeah.
Okay. We made it. We succeeded.
Yes.
Episode 52 in the can. Okay, so That's it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in about 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us then, and until then, see you.